What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Robski. It is October 22nd, 2019, and I just want to talk to you guys on what I learned around the weekend. So, just to let you know, first of all, there's been a lot going on both in Major League Baseball and the NFL. I want to start out with my hunting trip up to my hometown, Palach, Idaho. And yet again, I am hunting with my cousin Sean. Let's talk about. So I'm pretty new to hunting. I've only been doing it for about 2 years now. I started in 2017. I used to go with my dad when I was really young, but I never really fired a weapon. I just hiked with him. I have a 308 hunting rifle that I sighted in, and I went up there with this hunting trip, and I saw a lot of game, but I didn't see the right game. I didn't see the bull elk that I want to shoot, but I saw cow elk, and I saw their offspring. I saw a couple does I could have shot at, and we saw some bucks, but they were on land I couldn't shoot at. So, anyways, one thing about hunting is with a territory that you need to get into, that's a lot like life. I heard a good analogy one time. It's crawl through the mud to get to the higher ground. Now, with these hunts, I got in a lot of hiking, really steep terrain. I was down in a gulch with my dad on the last day, and I had to walk through some thorns to get up to the top. It was very, very challenging. I did well. I did pretty well for my size. One of my goals for next season is to be about 50 pounds lighter. I'm telling you, I didn't get that much hiking in as I did on the fire crew, and it was a type of fitness that cannot be replicated in a gym. You have to get out there. You have to be hiking in the brush. You have boots on. Your heart gets tested. And being in shape, it's a basic fundamental. It helps with it. Pretty much 99% in life gets better when you're in shape. But with hunting, it's critical. It's like the foundation. If you can just simply hike and do that well, you have potential to do well. So I had a few cow elk in my crosshairs. I didn't pull the trigger because that would have been poaching. I didn't have the right tags for that. But it was very tough for me to keep trigger discipline. And, with my dad, I was instructed to wait, and I did. So what I want you to take away from that is that sometimes you have to be patient. Like, I'm waiting years. I haven't got that bull elk that I want to shoot. And I've had to be patient. I passed up a few does to potentially get the bull elk because they were in an elk herd. I don't want to upset the herd. So certain things like getting out early, getting out before people are there, going out hiking into country where people mostly don't go, things like that. When you really earn your hunt, when you do the physical stuff, it sucks at the time. But at the end of the day, it's worth it. And I got some of the best exercise I've gotten in a long time. So make sure to enjoy everything that goes into the process. That's what I've learned as my very, 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 very short time as a hunter. My cousin Sean's an expert. He's been basically doing it since the age of 6. And now I just joined him. And I keep learning things every day. Simple things like, you don't want to smell. Like, I put on some deodorant. Sean's like, you don't want to do that. And these animals, they have smell and sight. This has been a lot different than my turkey hunt a couple years ago. I think I was just like a year and a half ago or something. But all I simply did was went up to his house, and he knew where turkeys were. And it only took me 2 days to get a turkey. And I got some shots in day one. So, it's been it's been quite the experience. But the best experience about all this is I've gotten closer with my family, the Cochran side, my cousin. I've rebuilt that relationship. I feel, um, I'm getting to know his little girls, and I'm getting to know his wife, and hunting is just there's so much to that experience. It's almost spiritual, but it's not. What I learned is it's not just about the game. In fact, that's the very minor part of it. It's about the experience. It's about um, getting out, getting to your primal instincts as a man, doing something that we were designed to do naturally. Except we had spears at this time, but you know that simple activity, you can really get to know people. And I've gotten to know Sean my cousin, very, very well, and it's been a blessing. It's been a great experience. I feel like I've rekindled a relationship there. Okay, so with that being said, I saw my little brother. We went and watched Idaho beat Idaho State. Congratulations to Colton Richardson, a Lewiston boy. He did get hurt, but he played very well. And there's a young man by the last name of Cotton, who's a receiver, who just killed it. Congratulations to him, too. Way to go. Congratulations to Idaho Vandals with winning. I think they did a good job with going down to the Big Sky. I don't think they had any business losing to Portland State, but they have. They're slowly getting better. But if you guys never been to Moscow, Idaho, or even Pullman, where Washington State's just 8 miles away, it's a great college town and great people. A lot of them from my hometown of Potlatch, and just good people to be around. I went back through to McCall. I visited Shore Lodge, had some biscuits and gravy there. It was a good experience. Saw some people I used to work with. McCall's a beautiful town. Check out McCall if you ever come to Idaho. Okay, now let's get into what's going on in the world of sports. The Yankees got upset by the Astros yet again. I was actually very impressed with the comments that Aaron Judge made. I read what he said, and I respect the guy. He's trying to be a leader, and what I didn't understand as a kid, I grew up as a Atlanta Braves fan, but the Yankees, they have a certain way. There's a certain. It's like in New York, the Patriots are kind of like. If you take a look at the New England Patriots, the expectation is to win the Super Bowl. They have that certain process of things. The New York Yankees, the expectation is to win the World Series, and they are very. They're very. What I like about what they do is I like the fact that they have certain standards that these other teams don't have. They have grooming standards. They don't wear the names on the back of the jersey. They have more of a service, and they're very professional. I think that Cashman would be very hard to work for, but they had a great season. They had a 100-win season, and some of these players are calling it a failure because their expectation is to win the World Series. So again, I respect that. I respect that setting high standards in life is good because you challenge yourself, just like hunting. So congratulations to the New York Yankees on a great season, even though some of them feel like that they fell short. You still had a great season. Congratulations on that. Also, congratulations to Houston Astros. Jose Altuve is proving yet again that size is, in some circumstances, size does not matter. His talent is incredible for a man who's 5'6". He hits the ball well. He hits the ball out of the ballpark. Remember, the Astros are a very complete team, and I actually had them as a favorite to win the World Series. Now, here's the thing, though. This Nationals team you see this in sports all the time, and the team that comes up to up in my mind is the 2012 New York Giants. If you remember that year, they ended up upsetting the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but they got hot. They weren't. I don't think they won their division. I think they were a wild card team, but they got hot at the right time, and that's the Nationals did exactly that. They let Bryce Harper go because they knew they had some other players that could replace him. And this feels like an analytics move, which I guarantee it is. And basically, the Nationals have always had that stud pitching staff. They're just firing all cylinders right now, and it would not surprise me one bit if the Nationals win the World Series. They swept. They mowed through the Dodgers. Well, I take that back. They took the Dodgers. They beat the Dodgers, and that was a series. But the next team up was the Cardinals. They just mowed through them. It was no problem, and they are more rested. Garrett Cole's going against Scherzer tonight. Mad Max is more well rested than the Dodgers. Sorry, the Astros. So there's a couple factors in here. I still think the Astros are more complete and should be the favorites, but I think the Nationals are gonna win this one. I really do. They just got hot at the right time. So congratulations to both those teams. Okay, shift gears to the NFL here. What I saw. Well, my Niners are 6-0, so that makes me a very happy guy. They just beat Washington in a defensive showdown. Nick Bosa is playing very, very well. He was definitely worthy as a second overall pick. He's actually exceeded my expectations. I'm very satisfied. They're talking about this. The 49ers have the best defensive line in the NFL, but they're talking about this might be one of the best defensive lines ever. And I could see that. I mean, you got two dudes that are 6'6" in Armstead and Buckner, and you got Bosa, who's just an animal, and you got Ford, who's a vet. You got Solomon Thomas, who's a first-round pick, who's on the bench. And that's no knock against him. That just shows how good that team is up front. So, and then they got guys that are, the running game's doing well. Things are working well for Shanahan. And we've already tripled our wins from last year. And it's been a great year for San Francisco fans. It's been a while since the Harbaugh year, since we've had a dominant team like this. Over our rival Seattle is having a good year. They did lose to Baltimore, but it's a very competitive division. The Rams got a big win, so people are counting the Rams out. They're not. The Rams are still a good team. They just have some holes. Todd Gurley is as good as he is. Definitely looked like he got banged up and I think he needs a little bit of rest. So that's going well. Dallas got the big win against the Eagles, and the Patriots defense overall. See, the Niners might have the best up front, but this Patriots defense team is unstoppable. They made Sam Darnold look just awful last night. I think he threw 4 interceptions, and I think of great defenses of all time. It doesn't remind me of the 13-14 Seahawks defense. That team was a little more intimidating, but this Patriots defense reminds me of the Denver Broncos defense when they carried Peyton Manning to the Super Bowl. Now, Tom Brady is still very productive and efficient as a quarterback. He's kind of gotten overshadowed, especially by Aaron Rodgers this year, who's playing the best. He's the best quarterback in the NFL so far, with Mahomes getting hurt. Wilson, for a while it was Wilson, but I think Aaron Rodgers is outplaying him right now. But again, Tom Brady is still when I watch Brady, and this is why people passed him over, is because he's not. When you watch him play, you're just not wow. He reminds me of Greg Maddux. You're just not wowed like when he does things. It doesn't just jump off the charts. The ball doesn't come out like Rodgers does and all that. But you look at the end of the day and you look how efficient he was. And you're like, wow. It's just like with Greg Maddux. It's like, he didn't bring it exceptionally hard. But eventually, you were only 2 hours into the baseball game and there's a goose egg on the board. So Tom Brady has made a career and a living off 3rd and 8, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 3, completing the 5-yard out, completing the down and distance. This is what Tom Brady excels at. And, a lot of people in society, they do this with a lot of things. They overlook doing greatness isn't throwing the 60-yard touchdown pass. Greatness is completing 12 out of 14 passes, which he did last night in one drive. Or, they ran over 15, 16 plays and got the end zone. I thought about this in my head, and it's looking right now. I don't know, when Mahomes will come back, but Kansas City's been exploited now. I know people probably don't want to hear this, but the Patriots, this is they're probably going to go. This blows my mind, but they'll probably go back to the Super Bowl. I mean, actually, I think a team that is really kind of sneaky is the Indianapolis Colts. People have said, which Jacoby Brissett was a Patriots, but the secret's out on him. Jacoby Brissett is a legitimate player and will be a franchise quarterback. I love the way he plays. But again, I just don't see them stop. This Patriots defense is suffocating. And they're the favorites to win the Super Bowl again. This is unbelievable. Tom Brady, it just blows my mind. People don't realize how great this franchise is. But I could see in the AFC, there's one clear front runner right now. There's nobody even close. Like, it's the Patriots. That's the front runner. The Bills are doing really well, and they've only lost, but they lost to the Patriots. The Patriots are the clear best team in the AFC right now. The NFC, you got the Green Bay Packers, you got the Minnesota Vikings, you got obviously the San Francisco 49ers this year. You got Seattle, who's right there too. So there's a bunch of teams in the NFC that can go to the Super Bowl. In the AFC, it's not so much. It's definitely clear cut. It's not. It's definitely there's one main front runner. Again, it's New England again. So I thought a lot about this. I'm like, wow, we can finally get. I'm talking about the Niners here. We can finally get that 6 Super Bowl rings, which there's only 2 teams that have 6 or more Super Bowl win. Well, I think there's only 2 teams that have 6 Super Bowl victories, period. That's the Steelers and the Patriots. The 49ers are at 5. Dallas is at 5. And I was like, put the Niners back into the, conversation of greatest franchise of all time. There's only one clear greatest franchise of all time in the NFL. That's the Patriots. They got the Super Bowls to prove it. They not only got the Super Bowls, they got the playoff, and they got the division titles. Like, it's clear cut. Patriots are the greatest franchise ever in the history of the NFL. There's no one close to Patriots. Not even Pittsburgh, who has just as many Super Bowl victories. But it's Patriots number 1, and then you could argue Pittsburgh's number 2, and then San Francisco and Dallas on there. But if we got this 6th Super Bowl, we would pass our old rival Dallas. But I'm thinking, if we go up against New England, it's scary because our defensive line is better than New England's Patriots and is better than the Patriots. But overall, the Patriots have the best defense in the NFL. No question about it this year. I'm just trying to think how that game could play out. Because we would be a big underdog, because what they'll do is they'll suffocate. What the Patriots are going to do if we play them is basically George Kittle's going to be a non-factor. Belichick basically says you're not going to beat us with your best player. So basically Kittle's out. Okay, you don't get to use Kittle, and it's so hard to run on those guys. The only thing if we get up against the Patriots, the way we're going to beat them is going to be a low-scoring game. Okay, so you're pretty much you're not going to light up that defense at all. Like even if they have a bad day, you're not going to light them up. Okay, it's going to be a very low-scoring game. It could be won by a field goal. Kyle Shanahan's a very smart coach, but he's going up against Belichick. I think this year our quarterbacks are actually similar. We got Jimmy G, who's also a product of Jimmy Garoppolo, who is also a product of the Patriots, who's playing well, but he's not just blowing it up either. Like he's not, there's no way that, I love Jimmy G. I think he's exactly the quarterback we need. And he's a good, solid quarterback, but he's not blowing it up like Rodgers or Mahomes. I mean, the reason why the Niners are winning is because of that defensive line. And then Jimmy G is playing well enough to win, which is perfect. I love that. If they go up against the Patriots, which this will be very, very interesting because, again, Jimmy Garoppolo was supposed to be Tom Brady's heir apparent, and he goes to San Francisco. Garoppolo is going to need to play. He doesn't need to play great, but he needs to play solid. And he needs to just keep in there with Brady. And it would be a low-scoring game. It would be similar to the Eagles Patriots Super Bowl. Well, even you talk about the Giants. See, here's the thing about the Patriots. They don't get blown out even. When they lose, it's close. That's the only way to beat them is do the little things. So I think the Niners, I can't see that Super Bowl play. I mean, I hate to say this. I really hate to say this, but I think the Packers this year would have a better shot at beating the Patriots in the Super Bowl because of Rodgers. Because Rodgers can turn the game around with one big play. I just don't see that in Garoppolo. As much as as much as I love him, the Packers might actually have the best chance to beat that team because you got Rodgers. And Rodgers he's a game changer. Okay. He's explosive. We just don't have that guy. Should be interesting though. Like I said, the NFL always gives us interesting storylines. And then let me make some closing comments about this. I hope this NBA thing doesn't go away. I'm glad that LeBron got exposed. I'm glad that those guys got exposed. Look, man, at the end of the day, Democrat, Republican, socialist, capitalist, communist, it's all about money. Bottom line. Our education system's about money. Like I said, professors don't have students' best interest. They have their interest in mind. LeBron, all those NBA guys, they're not social justice warriors. They're in it for the money. And it was proven by how they're so outspoken in America because we allow them to do that. But when they went to China and they knew that China would be pulling out, they won't be doing business, they were dead silence. They weren't standing up for any human rights. And it's funny in a way. I consider myself a human rights activist. I don't think that I believe that people should have the right to speak what they want in anywhere in the world. I believe that they should be able to speak without being persecuted and without being, killed. And China just doesn't have that. They just don't believe in our ideals. But that has to do with civil rights. And we're not talking about bullcrap, Antifa, communists, I should get paid because I breathe air crap. We're talking about real civil rights. Similar to the stuff that was in the 60s, which was actual racism and which was actual civil rights issues. They have that in China. And none of these NBA guys stood up for their civil rights. And I'm talking about the Chinese, I'm talking about the Muslims in prison, or the Christians in prison, or whoever. In America, there are rivaling opinions, but it doesn't matter what age, what height, what weight, what sex, everybody, how much money you have, how famous you are, everybody has the right to an opinion and free speech. And it's exactly the same for me as it is for, some homeless person, or some, Jeff Bezos, Morgan Freeman. It doesn't matter. We all have the same exact rights as far as free speech is concerned. And I just believe that everybody in the entire globe should have those rights. And I also believe that we all have rights to firearms. And, other countries, if other countries don't want to arm their citizens, I really don't care about that as much as free speech, because free speech should be universal. As far as firearms goes, that's up to the government. Here in America, we have the Second Amendment, which is not going away, and which is our God-given right because we were born on this soil. But again, I'm some guy that just randomly goes on YouTube, and I'm living a normal life. I'm not a celebrity. I'm a guy from a small town in Idaho. But again, I want to urge everybody here listening to this how important those basic rights are. And I also want you to understand, every time you pay tickets or watch the NBA, which I'll probably do. I'm not going to pay them a ticket. I'm not going to give them my money, but I might give them my time because I like the sport of basketball. Understand that those men, they're celebrities, they're great basketball players, but that's it. They're not social justice warriors. They're not politicians. And this was shown in China, where they had an opportunity to use their platform and stand up for real civil issues and real civil rights. They crumbled, they folded, they choked. They did not step up for the common person in Hong Kong or all of China. They listened to the Chinese government. The Chinese government gave them their money, and they shut up and took it. And here in this country, they're not going to shut up and take it because they're still going to get their money, and we're not going to punish them for it. So don't listen to these guys. They're athletes, they're basketball players. That's it. They're not politicians. They're not role models. They're none of that. And remember, this is coming from a Christian perspective. Don't worship false idols. And that includes that's what we got going on today. I'm not saying you should be in your particular religion, specifically Christian, Catholic, whatever. But a human being at the end of the day is a human being, and everybody's flawed, and nobody has all the answers. That's reality. Hope you enjoyed this YouTube. This is Rob. You have a good day.